Welcome back to the Elle-Sera podcast. And today I've got James Wilson, aka the Sleep Geek, and he is the founder of Kipmates. We're going to get into what all that is, but essentially he is our wonderful, no nonsense, no BS sleep expert. So welcome, James.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, great. I'm going to dive right into it. So sleep has become such a huge topic, talking point. There's tech, there's supplements, there's medications, there's countless podcasts on it, there's countless experts purporting all kinds of stuff for sleep. So today I wanted to get on and get your thoughts on it. But, you know, we're innately meant to sleep. Why are so many people having so many different problems with it?
Yeah, I think of all the things you mentioned are part of the problem. I think what happens with sleep is that the people I work with, so I work generally with organisations and sports teams. I'm working with thousands of poor sleepers every year, hundreds of thousands in my career. And I think we're very stressed about sleep itself. We are told every single supplement, product, service, app is the one solution that you need to get better sleep. And that's not true because we're all different. And actually what we lack when it comes to sleep is understanding. We don't have that basic level understanding of like who we are as sleepers and then what that means in terms of our lifestyle. And this is where everybody's different. Everyone's underlying genetics are different. Everyone's got different relationships. Everyone's got a different job. And it's trying to get the best we can. So what I find in poor sleepers is they're often perfectionists who are very good at problem solving, but that's the problem because they are trying to solve that problem. You'll see like newsletters and podcasts, my sleep obsession or prioritizing sleep. I don't want you to do that. I want sleep to be what sleep should be is it's a natural process and it's about dropping your heart rate and dropping your core temperature and it's about creating the right pre-sleep rituals and it's about having a sleep time that's right for your body clock and having a consistent wake up time and having a mattress, pillow, duvet that create the right temperature and the right support and you're eating in a way that helps you sleep and your nutrition's right in terms of sleep and you're doing a bit of exercise and you're getting light early in the day. It's not overly complicated. But the problem with that is that's hard to package and that's hard to create the sleep diet. And what we're going through at the moment, I think with sleep is what we went through with nutrition in the 80s and 90s. We are in that stage of like Weight Watchers, Slimming World of packaged processes that are designed to take you through step-by-step guide, but it doesn't really give most people the answer that they need when it comes to sleep.
Do you welcome all these new kind of like gadgets, bits of tech, different pillows, different mattresses, wearable technology? Do you welcome these coming onto the market? Because surely if a product is completely crap, then it's just not going to survive. And actually the front runners will survive, So out of we're all talking about sleep. Is it beneficial on a whole to the consumer?
It's a bit more awareness. I think so. I'm a poor sleeper genetically. When I was 15, 16, I didn't even understand what impact that had to me. Like being awake all night, didn't understand. Could feel it, but didn't understand the long term. So I think we're more aware of sleep, but we're not really aware of how to find the answers to our problem. And it's about answers. No solution. Solutions is a definite. I think it's answers. And I think some of those stuff's good. So when it comes to a mattress, it's about what supports you. You need to be in a neutral position, sleeping on your front, sleeping on your back or your side, not your front, because front sleeping puts your body in an engaged position and causes problems. You need to be the right temperature, and it needs to feel. So the cultural aspect to it needs to feel comfortable to you. That's simple. I think what then happens is brands overcomplicate it, and people want to tell you that this one thing will solve all your problems, and that's where we are struggling. I have something that I award every month. We have a of the year in March in Sleep Month called the Sleep Bollocks Awards, and that is to stop highlighting stuff that is bollocks.
Well, there is a lot of bollocks on the market, so there's going to be, I would imagine, a lot of candidates for your Sleep Bollocks Awards.
And it's this thing where is it actually stopping you sleeping? So it's like you mentioned wearables. Wearables generally, in my experience, working 100,000 people. They turn all right sleepers into poor sleepers and poor sleepers into atrocious sleepers.
We should say what wearables are. So wearable technology is stuff like, okay, we've got the Apple Watch, we've got the Fitbit, we've got the Whoop strap, we've got the Oura Ring, we've got thousands of other things that claim to track your sleep.
Yeah, you can have a mattress that claims to track your sleep. I've seen earrings that claim to track your sleep. And what they do is, so they create data. Now that data is quite inaccurate. Tracking deep sleep's easier, but tracking REM sleep's really quite hard. And then what they do is they give you this data and they probably give you a bit of a prescriptive analysis. This means that you are this, or this means you are that. It means you've not slept well, you're not ready, you're not recovered. Here's your score, here's your number, here's your magic number. You are only a 41. What's wrong with you? You failed again. Failure. And the problem is for poor sleepers, they're telling you something you already know. You don't need an app on a watch or anything like that to tell you that you've not slept well. You know you've not slept well.
Well, that's 100% why I got rid of the Whoop strap. And I'd already paid for the upfront subscription for it because it was a lot cheaper, and that was an absolute nightmare because I was like, well, I was, nursing a newborn baby at the time. My sleep was absolutely awful, but, that's my job is to be a mother and get up 3-4 times a night and make sure she's fed and everything. That's fine. That's what I'm absolutely supposed to do at that time. I know I've got shit sleep. Like, you don't need to tell me about that. Yeah, and then it would stop me from doing stuff the next day because it'd be like, do not push it today. Your stress levels are bad. You've not recovered. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it. But it was paralysis by analysis. It was stopping me from getting through my every day. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to know. I know I've had a shit night. Whatever. So out went the Whoop strap.
It becomes a story of failure. You wake up, look at your score, not very good. Go to bed, you think about your poor score. And you might have seen, so Whoop themselves, they financially reward their staff on a sleep efficiency score. So how efficient, how much were you in bed and asleep? Well, we're creating a number there that some people will not be able to meet through no fault of their own because you cannot. I talk about sleep truth a lot. One of the most important sleep truths is you cannot force yourself to sleep. There's not a person alive who can make themselves go to sleep tonight at 10 o'clock. It's not possible with how our bodies work. You can actively relax, you can actually create the right routine, you can actively understand your sleep, but you can't make yourself go to sleep. So how can you reward staff on the basis of a number that it's genetics? Oh, well, I'm just naturally a good sleeper. Ding, 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 ding. I'm making money.
Exactly. And then also it's like, what's going on in your life? Have you had a particularly stressful day? So I read a LinkedIn post the other day, and this lady had aging parents. One's got dementia. The other lady, she'd gone into hospital. Her mum had gone into hospital for something else. So she's got one parent who has got dementia. The other one is in hospital, and 2 young kids as well, who one's in nursery, one's ill. She said, this was my Easter weekend. She broke it down. I was like, oh my God. So you're in that sandwich generation where you've got little kids and you've got aging parents and the stress that all comes with that, plus your ordinary job, your invisible mental load, and you come down at the bottom of the list. Don't tell me that the frigging Stephen Bartlett's bros of the world have got the same 24 hours in a day as her, who can competitively sleep and then share their Whoop stuff on, like, oh, look, I've had a 98% sleep, amazing, productivity levels are through the roof.
Also, it's very easy to create a fake image of a score, claiming that your supplement or your product or your eye mask or these things do not.
Especially when you're invested in the company.
Especially when you invest in the company, and I think this is that with sleep, we're doing that. We're creating competition. Science bros. Yeah. Plunge pool bros, they exist in sleep, they cause problems. You've got lots of people eager beavering, great, you're eager beavering, but you're also spouting a lot of bollocks. And you're actually making people, as you just described, people whose lives are not your privileged life, a lot more difficult. And that, I would say that I am working with more poor sleepers now than ever before. But some of this poor sleep has been caused by it. So I'll give you an example. I went to a management consultancy firm because they run a book club around a book called Why We Sleep. By a guy called Matthew Walker, Andrew Huberman's favourite sleep expert. And in that book, it tells you if you had less than 7 hours sleep for one night, you're going to die earlier. Right. Now, if that was true, parents
would be dead.
Well, parents would be dying earlier than people who don't have kids, but there's no research to show that. So data is always interesting, isn't it? In that we can often manipulate data to tell a story that we want to do. And I think what a lot of these experts don't realise is because they're academics and they maybe sit in an ivy-clad tower and they don't, as we just discussed, they haven't got a typical life. They think we're idiots. So one of the things as a poor sleeper myself, basically a poor sleeper, sleep miles better, but I'm not perfect. One of the things that I was told a lot of time, it must be your fault. I've given you what to do. Why is it not working? If it's not working, it must be you. Because I'm a doctor and you're an idiot. And that is, poor sleepers often feel diminished. When you've ever had poor sleep, there's nothing more lonely than being awake in the middle of the night. Even if you've got someone next to you you love, they're asleep. You are so lonely and it's a horrible, horrible feeling.
I find that all the problems I've got are like magnified by like 100 times. And then when I wake up in the morning, I think about the same problem. I'm a bit like, think a bit more clearly. But in the nighttime, I'm literally get anxiety, like, oh, it's so bad. Whatever the problem is, could be a work problem, could be this. I'm overthinking it. Then that makes my sleep worse.
But I can tell you why.
Yeah.
Because if you think about sleep as a byproduct of like of us as animals, when we have predators, so the way our sleep is designed is that when we're stressed and anxious, when we're creating adrenaline, cortisol, we won't fall asleep because they're fight or flight hormones, and basically you don't want to be asleep when you're running away from a saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of the night, you're more likely to be anxious and stressed because your senses are more on edge, because that's the time where you're more vulnerable. So we've got this inbuilt sort of fear that is quite normal. And actually, I'd argue what we call poor sleep is perfect human behavior. It's good human behavior. You are stressed, you wake up. The saber-toothed tiger arrives, you wake up. I'd argue the good sleepers shouldn't be here. That their ancestors should have got eaten millennia ago by a saber-toothed tiger.
You're not wrong. I read Dakota Wilson, who said she sleeps for 14 hours. And I was like, fuck. How do you get anything done? You literally sleep half the day.
And really, yeah, she would definitely got eaten by a saber-toothed tiger at some point.
So you just wouldn't be here, yeah.
So I think sometimes it's that I found with the people I work with, that's quite a helpful way of changing the way you look at your sleep.
Yeah.
Because I think we are so hammered by expertise and by people who are telling us that it's our fault, and that why if you could just be as virtuous, amazing, brilliant as me, you could sleep like me and get 100 score on your wearable, and that's not real life, and that's not fair. And it's so like wake up at night, for example. What I find is listening to something's really powerful. So if you listen, because your hearing is like your alarm system. It's the sense that comes on first and goes off last. If we can get that relaxed, the rest of your body follows suit. So it could be music you love. Because I think sleep is so much about emotion.
Yeah, I listen to a podcast every single night, depending on whatever it comes on and then plays. So yeah, I definitely do that.
So noise can be helpful. Noise can be helpful, but it's different for people. Different. What relaxes you to fall asleep? You and to sustain good quality sleep, you need to be relaxed and you need to be cooler. So you need to be have a drop in heart rate. You need to have a drop in core temperature. Now, for women, in the 4-week menstrual cycle, for 2 of those 4 weeks, often your core temperature is more difficult to achieve. That's why often it can be really difficult. And obviously, when women start living with the menopause or perimenopausal, then those temperature fluctuations, those hot flashes, can make it harder for us to sustain sleep. But we need to remember as well that with sleep, you wake up 3 to 6 times a night.
So I was just 2 big things I want to pick you up on there. Yeah. So menopausal and sleep patterns, 100%. Let's talk about why they happen, and let's talk about what we can do for it. And also, I was speaking to somebody who's got prostate problems, and they're like getting up 3 times in the night to go to the toilet. And then I know other ladies who've got like bladder problems, and they're getting up 3 times in the night. Inevitable they're not going to have great sleep, but is that just like
so let's start with the last one.
Yeah, okay.
So there's an interrelation between sort of weeing or defecating and sleeping, that your body does shut down, and often what is happening when you get up in the night for a wee is you woke up. The process of waking up is not just instant, and then your body goes, well, we're awake, we might as well empty the bladder, go and have a poo, and get that job done. So what I find is if you create less, if you have a more relaxed wind down, if you've got better sort of schedule that suits your body's natural rhythm, you're less likely to wake up. However, when you've got prostate problems or you've got bladder issues, you will do. And then what we focus on is what we just talked about. How do you turn your brain off when you come back to bed? Because when I work with waking up, it's triggers. So it could be going to the toilet, could be you've drank alcohol, could be you've drank too much caffeine, could be stress and anxiety, could be your partner snored, could be your kids have walked in the room, could be the pets have been barking, could be bloke down the road shut his car door at 4 o'clock in the morning every single morning because he goes to work early, and that is not helpful. So I think it's if we can reduce the trigger, so we can do things like drinking, maybe try not drinking hours before bed. But the problem is then that actually being hydrated is really important to being ready for sleep. But then it's how we get to that trigger. So it's dropping our heart rate again. So it is trying to stop your brain kicking in. And also I will use sound. I will use I use A to Z. So I do A to Zs. I'm doing Disney princesses when I woke up at 3:00 this morning. Or Disney characters, because Princess is too small a group. Football teams, you can do actors, I did do. A couple of weeks ago, I did people I don't like. That's not a good one to do.
No, I bet, because that would really stress
really
me
annoys
out.
you. But it's finding these little mental count back from 1,000. The idea of counting sheep is that it's a focused activity where it just allows your brain, because I think a lot of people, it's the active brain as much as the bladder issues or caused by prostate cancer or bladder issues. It's that's the problem. And if we can not allow our brain to kick in, and I think for me as a poor sleeper, my problem has always been waking up in the night. I think accepting that I will wake up and accepting that I'm brilliant at dealing with tomorrow, because I always do, and having a suite of tools that help, and everyone's tools are different. I've had people everything from touching a fellow who touched his wife's underwear on her. She was wearing the underwear, because that tactile nature of her pants made him feel safe.
Right.
Could be smell, could be your partner's aftershave or perfume. It's creating that sense of safety.
Yeah.
If you want me to sum up how we sleep well, we feel emotionally and physically secure.
Yeah, well, 100%. My little girl will not sleep. She goes to sleep with me and if she's not with me, like, she's never slept in her cot ever. She's 18 months now. Never slept in her cot. She did for the first 6 months, and then that was it. She was out and she was just next to me. And now she won't go to sleep unless she's on me. I then move her into her cot. But as soon as she wakes up, 11, midnight, whatever, mummy, she's in our bed. That's it, and I'm like, Danny, it's completely natural. She wants to, it's the most vulnerable time for her. She's trying to get to sleep and she just wants to feel mummy or daddy next to her. It's completely natural. And when she's old enough to understand that we're in the room next door, we can actually have that conversation with her. It will be all right. Hopefully.
And that's it. And I think with that sort of kids, again, it's not a one size fits all.
No.
If parents don't want the kids sleeping with them, people can help you.
Yeah.
But you do it at a time that suits you, because again, I think a lot with parents and sleep, a lot of it is guilt and anxiety caused by, you need to do this. And that can be many, many different ways that we can get hammered as a parent. When we say, are they good? What we mean is, are they sleeping well?
Yeah.
So it can be difficult. So if you look at the menopause then, and how we deal with that, the main impacts, I think, when living with the menopause or being perimenopausal is around the hormonal changes that create a bigger sensitivity to stress and anxiety. And then the hot flashes, and that's not just it's hot; it's that change in temperature that is often more difficult to help or to deal with. I think the stress and anxiety, some of this is acceptance. So when I do a talk on the menopause in the organisations I work in, often when I walk through the doors, a touch of surprise in the audience as to what do you know? But I have lots of empathy and lots of advice, and I think it's the women I've worked with where it's been most difficult is when they've always been good sleepers. They've never thought about sleep, never thought and then all of a sudden, one night they go to bed and they can't get to sleep, and it's just whirring brain. So there needs to be an acceptance that alcohol will have a different impact, caffeine will have a different impact, stress, anxiety will have a different impact, and they're the things that we need to deal with. So it is, you may have got away with, I can watch a horror film before bed and go to bed. Now you might need to have a proper built pre-sleep routine.
I've really noticed that. I actually only really like watching nice rom-coms, and I never used to be like this. But everybody was asking me to watch Baby Reindeer. I was like, no, thank you. I switched it off after. I was like, this is not for me. Like, I don't want to pollute my mind with this stuff at any time of the day. Never mind before bed. I'm just like, no, I'm not.
Well, Mrs. Sleep gets annoyed with me because I don't like watching scary things before bed, or things that your brain's whirring.
Of course.
Because you think if you're solving a crime, so if you're watching Luther, your brain's whirring before bed, it's going, you're solving that crime, you go to bed with that thought. And if we're honest, we talked about being relaxed and being cooler. I just Elba is a hot man. So he'll raise your core temperature and he'll raise your heart rate, and you don't want that before bed, do you? So
no.
At the moment, we're watching Married at First Sight Australia. Perfect.
Yeah, I watched
pre-sleep viewing.
When I switched Baby Reindeer, I was like, I'm not watching this. This is disgusting. I can't stand it. I put Friends on because that's the thing that makes me feel back to a time.
But it's
when
emotional
I was
security,
happy.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you know what. So the beauty of that is you know what's going to happen. You don't even have to focus on it that much. So a spoken word book that you've read before is always a really good thing in the middle of the night, because you're not having to follow the story. You just true crime podcast. No, spoken word books. Yes, it's often the sort of the timbre of the content, the way the content flows and is delivered. And laughter is brilliant for sleep.
Well, I can really recommend Matthew McConaughey Green Lights for
Yes,
that, because
I
he
can imagine.
reads it himself. It's amazing. It's really positive as well. So there's a really amazing chapter about how he met his wife, and it's like, wow, it's amazing.
Very syrupy, so it'll be perfect before sleep.
It's absolutely great.
So we address that. We need to address like the routine.
Talk to me about like perfect protocol then. If you were like menopausal, perimenopausal, you're getting into these sleep issues, you've never really had a problem before, what would be like your protocol for somebody who'd be like, this is going to give you your edge to get sleep better?
So we'd be looking at are you going to be at the right time for your sleep type? So sleep type is fundamental to sleeping well. And we kind of better understand it as larks and owls. So we see it as like larks and owls. We see it as like, here's a lark, here's an owl, I'm one or the other.
I'm an owl.
But actually what these are poles, and it's a line in the middle. And we sit somewhere in that line. And actually most of us sit in the middle with a slight preference, like your slight preference towards an owl, I'm a slight preference towards a lark. So but it does change throughout your life. So in between 13 and your mid-20s, you're more likely to be an owl. So school start times are horrible for teenagers because really them getting up at 6 to get to school for 8 would be like me getting up at 4 to work for 6. It's not nice. So I think there's and then you build a schedule around that sleep type. See it as windows of opportunity. So see a 90-minute window. So I'll use me as an example. I'm a bit of an early lark, so my 90-minute bedtime opportunity is 9:30 to 11. My 90-minute wake-up opportunity is 5:30 till 7. So if I get roughly like 6.5 to 7.5, 8 hours somewhere between 9:30 and 7, I get better quality sleep, because sleep is not just about how much, it's about how good. And if we work with our natural rhythm, you're more likely to get how good.
Apologies for interrupting this podcast, but I need to ask a favour. If you're enjoying this podcast so far, then please hit that subscribe button right now. I'll be straight up and honest that I want to see this podcast grow and flourish into something that I'm really proud of. And the only way that I can do that is with your help. So if you've ever learned anything useful from these conversations, then please return the favour by liking, rating, subscribing, and maybe even sharing it with your friends. Thanks very much. Let's get back to the episode. My other question was the quality of sleep over the quantity. So let's say I'm getting 8 hours, but of that sleep, is deep sleep more preferential or REM sleep more preferential, or is it a mix of both?
You need both, really.
Yeah.
REM sleep's hard to get. REM sleep happens later in the night. In REM sleep, you're more likely to be woken up. So that's where a REM sleep is a part of sleep that's important to our emotional resilience and builds, like, it's like an overnight counselling session.
Right.
So that's when you'll have it when you've not slept well. And you sat there and you're like, someone come at me because I want to lose my shit here.
Nearly every day.
So there you go. And that's because we've not had REM sleep and we find it hard to emotionally regulate. Deep sleep's easier to get, happens early in the night. That's about physical recovery. So you need what you need in both, but every person's different. Your genetic sleep need is different to mine, and every night is different. Because if you've had a particularly physically exerting day, you might need a bit more deep sleep.
Yeah.
Had a particularly emotionally exerting day, you might need a bit more REM sleep. So
that's really interesting, because like I go back to like postpartum for women is like one of the worst times in a woman's life in terms of recovering physically, recovering mentally, emotionally. Everything's gone off the scale. You've just had a baby, so everything's absolutely ludicrous. And then you've got to look after this tiny human, and you've got to be up and down in the night. There's no chance I was getting any REM sleep. So then I was a rat bag all the next day, all the time. And I was back in work within like 2 weeks. So trying to run a business, trying to grow, trying to do this, trying to do that. I was just like horrible to be around. But I feel like people should have given me a bit more slack, because I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to be an arsehole here.
I don't mean to be an arsehole.
No, I just
sleep.
I can't regulate my emotions because I have not had any.
And that's where, postnatal depression is.
Exactly. And this is why maternity is so needed, and why I should have absolutely taken that seriously and done it.
And you're right, at the point in a woman's life where their body needs physical recovery more than any other, and emotional recovery. The hardest time to get. And yet there was one piece of research that showed that dads sleep worse than mums in the first 3 months of a baby's life. I showed my wife that piece of research, and after she stopped laughing, she funded
that?
She decided, Med funded that, imagine. My experience, that's not true. I would definitely say that. But it is, but it's hard for both, of parents, whatever your role in that baby's life is. But when you've gone through the physical birthing, that physical recovery, deep sleep is really important. So sleep need is not just about how good, it's about how much. So when we understand like what our underlying sleep type is, so if you're trying to build a good pre-sleep routine, creating the right rituals, and then you understand your sleep type, you're targeting a sleep time that's right for you. But if you don't sleep, you're not sleepy, don't go to bed.
Right.
Don't go to bed, because we're the only animal that does it. But we go to bed because we've been told we need 8 hours sleep, we're going to die.
Well, I'm a bit like that. I showed you my wearable technology before, and I wear a Fitbit, and I only got 7 hours last night. My little girl did me having me up in the night. She was kicking me, pinching me, whatever, making me get a milk in the night. I was like, for God's sake. So I'm up and down all night. And I looked this morning and I was like, well, I've had 7 hours. So it says, I don't feel like I have, but it says I have. But I actually do get a little bit of a dopamine hit when it says I've got 8 hours and I see fireworks going off on the screen.
That's what you just said, only 7 hours. So it's really, from a cultural point of view, we talk about it. And often your wearable will also be talking about it negatively. They will tell you only got 8 hours, and they'll tell you that 75% of people your age did better than you, so you are a loser. And that is some of the
It did. It literally broke down my sleep from last night, telling me how much of a loser I was.
Every which way.
Every category.
We've got 5 categories you're a loser in.
Yeah.
So I think it's understanding those two things fundamentally, and then you build a routine up to that sleep time. And you, for example, one of the most powerful things you can do, so bath or shower helps drop your core temperature. Then get
hot bath or shower?
Warm. Not too hot, not too cold. And a little side thing, because we're getting towards summer, don't put stuff in freezer and put it in your bed.
Right.
You'll see that advice. It's hot. You put something in the freezer, put it in your bed. Think what?
Like what? What do people put in?
Your duvet, your pillowcase, your bedding.
Who's got a freezer that's big enough to put a duvet in?
That's what I think.
I've got drawers. I don't know about anybody else. But they've got a chest to put a body in.
They've got nothing in the freezer apart from a duvet. Yeah. But then you put that in your bed, you're then shocked into. You're more awake because you're like, why am I cold?
Yeah.
It melts, which creates moisture, and when that moisture heats up, it makes it warmer, and it creates a wet patch.
And your duvet would be disgusting and disintegrate.
And no one likes sleeping in a wet patch, do they? So we don't want to create that environment. So I think
common sense would bloody tell you not to do that.
It would, wouldn't it?
Freaking hell.
Bath or shower, and then get ready for bed. Because I think the biggest mistake we make is we'll be sat on the sofa and we'll think, I'll go to bed, and then we'll start doing stuff. We'll let the pets out. We'll empty the dishwasher. We'll look at utility room. We'll go upstairs, brush his teeth, take his makeup off, go into bedroom. Get undressed for bed.
I have a full routine.
Go into the bed. Get in bed.
Retinol on my face. Yeah. Cleanse.
But you get in bed and you go, I can't get to sleep. And your body goes, yeah, of course you can't. Because 20 minutes ago.
Then I look at my Instagram.
20 minutes ago, I said to you, go to sleep.
Oh, 45 minutes.
Sod that. It's some daytime stuff.
Yeah.
Gives you adrenaline, gives you cortisol, wakes you up. You're now stuck. So I think one of the most powerful and simple things you can do to sleep well is to get ready for bed an hour before you're targeting to go to sleep, and then when you're sleepy, you can go straight to bed.
Well, yeah, you're probably right. I've now had. You've definitely
you're considering it there, aren't you? When you want to change that routine,
probably right. But 10 o'clock, I'm trying to go to sleep at the moment because I'm actively taken. Because I was like, I was only getting like 5 hours 40 minutes, and it was because I was going to sleep at like midnight, and then my sleep quality was awful, and I was like, oh, bloody hell. Anyway, so I thought, no, I'm gonna. If I just went, my little girl falls asleep about 7:30 every single night, so she's good. And I'm like, why? What am I waiting up for? But those are my hours in the day that I now can get stuff done. Yeah. Because I've not had to look after her as much. So I'm like, right, okay, I can answer my emails that I've not done. I can look at this, start researching this, and my mind's going. And now, before I know it, it's midnight. So, but I'm a bit like, well, it's inevitable. I've got to get it done. So what do I do?
But these are choices, aren't they? These are choices. Like that is not good for your sleep.
No.
But sometimes, and this is where when you've been told you got 7 hours sleep, if you don't get 7 hours sleep, you're going to die. It's not helpful because some people have to, at either end of the day, make those choices. But sometimes you also got to accept if you're making those choices, your sleep won't be either as good or as long as we'd like it to be. So it's always in that wind down. It's making sure you are watching things that we've talked about that are good. It's making sure that your devices aren't helpful. They're not. The blue light doesn't really impact on the body's natural rhythm. The research is debunking that idea. This is not the sun. Your phone's not the sun. It gives off about 40 lux at 4 centimeters. A light box that we use for seasonal affective disorder or shift workers, which mimics the sun, gives off 10,000 lux at 50 centimeters.
Right.
So it's not. It's more what you're doing on it. So if you are doing work on a device, that's going to affect your sleep. If you're looking at what people from school have been up to on social media and you thought they were a dipstick at school, they'll make you angry. That will not help you sleep. So we need to stop blaming devices. We need to take responsibility, and then it is just doing things that relax you. Create emotional security. Give your partner a cuddle if you've got one. Give your pet a cuddle if you've got one. Do things that give you that sense of security, physically and emotionally.
You having a bad time with your partner and actually your partner is the one that's causing you the anxiety and stress.
Dump him. And in my job, a lot of conversations like, this is not a sleep problem, this is a relationship issue.
Well, yeah.
I am outside my area of expertise here. Dump him. So talk about it. What happens with sleep is we're often attracted to the opposite to us in terms of sleep. So you'll get a good sleeper and a poor sleeper. You'll get an owl and a lark. You will get a hot sleeper and a cold sleeper. And what happens in many relationships is something I like to call a sleep dictator. And what a sleep dictator does is say, I don't really care about you. As long as I'm in bed at the time I want to be in bed, I'm up at the time I want to be up, and we do what I want to do before bed, you're not important. And that just creates really bad sleep to a person. Like I've had people who will cut their toenails in bed while the other person's trying to get to sleep. People
or just sit there on TikTok and it's just bang, bang, another bit. And I'm just like, oh my God. That's
just in another room. You can go and do it in the living room.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it. You don't have to have a head touch on reading a book.
Yeah.
You can do it in another room. So I think it's compassionate conversations.
Yeah.
Some people do sleep separately.
I was just going to say, Cameron Diaz has come out and say, why wouldn't you have separate bedrooms?
As an emotionally needy sleeper that I am, I'll tell her why. Because when I sleep next to my wife, I feel safe.
Secure.
But I've been in relationships where my sleep has been destroyed by
somebody else. And
I think that happens a lot. So that's great. Cameron Diaz has a sense of security alone.
Yeah.
Other people don't. And it's not a one size fits all. And it's always quite interesting on this that there's like a sleep expert who really advocates for sleeping separately, who sleeps separately. And you do feel like he's just trying to he feels somehow embarrassed by this and trying to normalise it. He's fine. In fact, there's a piece of research that showed your sex life improves by 10% if you sleep. I don't know if it's quantity or quality. Can't tell you. Because I tell you what, your partner becomes a lot sexier when you're sleeping well.
Yeah.
They become a right minger when you're not.
Well, I was just going to say, obviously, sleep has a massive effect on libido.
Yeah.
So.
But just libido on because libido is a complicated thing, isn't it? And it is like, how much are they annoying you?
Yeah.
They're less likely to annoy you if you slept well.
Yeah.
And it's something when I work with couples that gets reported back that, say for example, I've worked with a couple once who, husband had sleep apnea, wife had was living with a menopause, and those two were just fight, and they actually went into separate rooms.
Yeah,
and it made a massive difference to their relationship.
Yeah,
I probably didn't need to know in graphic detail quite so much the difference it had made to their sexual relationship. Wasn't
well,
so?
Listen,
so if you do,
that's a healthy relationship.
If you do listen to this podcast and it does improve your sex life, I don't need to know. You don't have to send me an email telling me all about it. But it is really like fundamentally that relationship. You do sleep and sex both happen in a bed, and if we can get and they're interconnected. You're getting on. Sex is good. You're close to your partner. Sleep is easier. And it's I work a lot in sports. I work a lot in both men and women's sports. The question every sports person wants to know the answer to is: does an orgasm before a game hinder or help my performance on the pitch or in the event that I'm doing?
Has there been meta-analysis of this?
I can tell you anecdotally what I found from asking people. I would say it's good because it relaxes you. So, what
about the testosterone?
Well, that is a problem. There's a balance to it in terms of testosterone as well.
Yeah. So if I was a man and I'm,
so
how do I say this nicely? So if you are relieving yourself before a big game and then your testosterone isn't as high, you might be more relaxed, less aggressive, less mental focus. But it depends on it,
because also that might put you in the flow more.
Right.
So it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
But it can be helpful. Now, what I would say is I'd recommend a 2 out of 5 performance. You don't want a 5 out of 5.
Right.
You're likely that's too physically exerting.
Okay.
So 2 out of 5, which I think most people can manage. 2
Maybe
out of 5.
Maybe just a solo performance.
Maybe. Well, that question's often asked in many different ways, and the ways could be blue or not.
Yeah.
But I think it is that orgasms are good for sleep.
Right.
Releases the right hormones.
Yeah.
Creates connection. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Of orgasms for sleep.
We talk about that a lot on our page of Elle-Sera all the time. Okay, so we mentioned before about like some of the protocols you would do if you're a menopausal woman. So we've talked about cool room. Yeah. How cool are we having it?
So the advice is 16 to 18 degrees. I think that can be too cold for some people. Cooler. So you walk in the room, if you can get that little bit sense of, it's a little bit cooler.
Yeah, I think 18 would be nice. 18. I mean,
like 16. That can be
that's
like
cold.
if I went to my wife, we're gonna have 16 degrees in here.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be down with that. That's
No.
not that. So again, if I'm working with like people who work away, we'll have to start at 18 in the hotel, 17. You can always make it warmer.
Yeah.
You know, it's harder to bring down the temperature.
Yeah, you don't want to be too hot.
I don't know why hotels put it on 25 when you walk in.
My house, in my bedroom is so hot to the point where my partner goes, it's too hot in here. And he goes in the spare room where our heating just virtually doesn't work. And it must be about 12 in there. But we've got an amazing duvet, so he loves it. He's like, I love this room.
But that's so in Scandinavia,
cool.
they will sleep with windows open in minus whatever, and they create that cocoon with using the duvets and the things like that. So I think when it comes to temperature as well, the more important temperature is the temperature between your mattress and the duvet.
Well, your core temperature of your body as well.
And so like if, for example, one of the worst buying decisions women living with the menopause are told to make is buying like a mattress with like a cool gel or like a foam mattress with some treatment that helps keep you cool on it. Because that will work probably so it's good for as you go to bed. It gives you a sense of coolness as you go to bed, but actually it doesn't probably sustain that in the way that natural fillings and springs would do.
Right.
So I think that so natural fillings and springs, separate duvets could be massively helpful.
Right.
So if you've got your partner's like, I want a 3.5 tug duvet, you're like, I don't want that. Like I work with a lot of couples where if it's a woman living in the menopause, they will be using a bamboo sheet, like a flat sheet made of bamboo. Bamboo is great at absorbing moisture and wicking it away. Cotton absorbs well, wicking is a lot less efficient. So I think it's those sorts of decisions. You think if your partner is next to you, you're getting their heat as well, and that again is a real easy win when we're a hot sleeper, particularly when we're living with the menopause. Just have a separate duvet and it can help.
What about electric blankets?
They can be helpful because like what you want is a dropping core temperature. So having an electric blanket before you go to bed. Raise the temperature in the bed. Get in, but I wouldn't leave it on because then your body can't go through the temperature. Like it does drop during the night. It needs to drop. If it doesn't drop, your body's going to wake up and go, "Why am I on fire?"
Okay.
I need to check. You need to check and inquire why this is so hot because this is getting too hot.
Well, I saw like some biohacker going on about the energy that it emits from.
Yeah, that probably doesn't help. Or if that's your thing, that won't be helpful.
Yeah. And then I was like, yeah, maybe there's something in that. I don't know if it's like nonsense or whatever. And then that brought me on to this new mattress, 8 Sleep, which you said you tried as well, which is like, again, it's like a mattress with a load of tech in it. And I'm like, surely that's getting away from our evolutionary sleep, which is, this is a natural thing to do. We need to get into a natural rhythm and all this tech around us. I don't know. I just feel like it's so unnatural.
So I was quite excited because temperature is really important to sleep, and I think like me and wife are all that typical. She likes it like to be warm, and I like to be a bit cool. So I was excited because there's products out there. There's not just this sort of sleep 8 product, 8 Sleep product. There's other ones like Chili Pad. There's one called Perfectly Snug, where it's really allowing you to control the temperature. And I've used them with people suffering from like parasomnia, so sleepwalking or sleep talking, where temperature can be a trigger, particularly for women. So I was like quite excited. But you're right, it's chock full of tech. And I was massively disappointed because it took about 4.5 hours to set up. We went to bed, and I've got a really good mattress. So I've got a mattress that's bespoke.
I should say that you are the mattress man.
I am the mattress man. So my family made beds and I got into this because my family made beds and mattresses, and I couldn't sleep. So I sleep on a bespoke mattress that is from Finland. That is my size designed for me. My wife's size is designed for her. It's an amazing mattress. We put this sort of like encapsulating cold thing on it, and it made it into like a 50 quid mattress. It was horrible. It felt horrible. Right. And then it was like having a little aircraft carrying corner room going because it uses water and it heats and cools the water. Right. It's got a tracker in it. So guess what? The tracker told me that slept really well on their product. Who would have thought it? Yeah. The tracker from the product was telling me the product was really good. I could not believe it. Yeah. And we got out of bed. We moved around in bed. It didn't. It just said we were asleep all the time. So I would put it up there, the top 3 worst sleep products I've used. And a bit of it is that there's too much tech. Yeah. You could just have the temperature controlling part of it, and that would be more helpful. Your mattress is, at the moment, the technology for tracking is not up there. It's not good enough for your mattress to track yet, I believe. And I think there's too much tech. It's too well marketed, and you will struggle to find a bad review on the line.
I mean, I've looked at the website, and I'm just skirting around it. I'm seeing Zuckerberg using it, Huberman using it, Chris Williamson using it, and I'm like, oh, guess what? Who is funding all their podcasts? 8 Sleep, of course it is.
Yeah.
So obviously they've got a vested interest in saying that this product is great because they probably get a revenue share from everything.
And it came out Y Combinator. So as a famous incubator of startups, but the sleep stuff that's come out of there generally has not been great because it's often too broy, too one size fits all, too prescriptive. And the technology isn't quite doing what the marketing's saying it does. So
Huberman has his own sleep protocol, which is obviously quoted online a lot. He is a big believer in getting up and viewing sunlight straight in your eyes first thing in the morning to help get you that blue light, set your circadian rhythm for the day, spike the cortisol, etc.
That's fine, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's absolutely great. I'm a bit like, tell me you haven't got kids, mate. Yeah. Clearly, tell me you haven't got kids without telling me you haven't got kids. Because I'll just let my daughter sit there in a nappy while I do my 5-minute meditation on my balcony in front of the sun, yeah?
But this is it, because actually it's getting up when your day is.
Exactly.
Not waking us up at 5 a.m. with an alarm. I am not a fan of the 5 a.m. club. I'm work with lots of people who are 5 a.m. club members, setting their alarm to get up at 5 a.m. to go and exercise. If you didn't exercise for 10 days, you'd be fine. If you didn't sleep for 10 days, you'd be dead. What I ask people to do is often just re-look at your schedule through the prism of sleep rather than the prism of exercise.
So we should be prioritising sleep over, both is good. If you can do, at least I'll try and get my 10,000 steps in for the day, regardless. I've been in motion for most of the day then. But if there's times I haven't got time to go to the gym, then at least try and get a good sleep in.
I bet all opinions are based on self-interest, and as a sleep expert, I'm saying sleep is more important. But it is actually, there's 4 things you need to live: food, water, air, and sleep.
Yeah.
And that exercise is not more important than it, and it shouldn't be more important. And people will say, well, my mental health I need exercise for mental health. I would argue sleep is more important for your mental health.
You would be dead if you hadn't slept.
If you hadn't slept. So I think sort of the Huberman protocols and the nutritional supplements that he uses, where there's no actual evidence that these supplements.
We should say there's magnesium. He recommends magnesium threonate. Is that right?
I think that's what it is.
3 and 8. Yeah.
And if you want to annoy a sleep academic at the moment, go and tell them that helps people, because there's no real research into it. Now, again, that doesn't mean it doesn't.
Right.
It just means we don't know.
Magnesium does help relax you.
Magnesium does, yeah.
But there are different types. There's about 7 different types of magnesium. So it depends on which one you're taking, because magnesium citrate probably won't get you to sleep. It's really good for constipation. So you need to know what you're taking and why you're taking it. Also, a lot of these sleep products, we were looking at one before this podcast, the dosage of it was so low. I was like, well, that's really not going to have a great effect on you.
And I'm a big fan of placebos. I like placebos when it comes to sleep, because if you believe this is working, that's why taking a supplement, and it's just taking a supplement can be helpful to sleep, because you're saying to your body, the next thing that I do after this is sleep, and that's really powerful. But if you're selling it on the basis of this has got something that's going to help you sleep better and just don't put the right dose in, then that's not. This is where the sleep bollocks comes in. That's not fair. To consumers.
I love melatonin, but you can't get it in the UK.
No, so melatonin is an interesting one. Melatonin you can't get in the UK because it's only available under license. It's a hormone. It is a hormone of the body clock, not of sleep. And what it tells your body is it's dark, basically. So in simple terms, it's telling your body it's dark. So if you've got jet lag, melatonin can be quite powerful. There are people who have melatonin deficiencies. Often people who are on the autistic spectrum can have, they thought that their sleep issues might be caused by a melatonin deficiency. So it's often what is prescribed to people living with autism or other neuro divergent conditions. And but the problem with it is that you are generally taking a bigger dose than your body creates naturally.
Yeah, definitely.
So your receptors become used to the overdose. You remove the supplementation, and actually, what was jet lag, because it's often tough with jet lag, and that's natural, has become a sleep issue.
And then you become reliant on it, which is kind of where I'm at the moment.
So it's not for insomnia. No,
I've been having a spray version of it, and I just have one little spray. But that one little spray, my God, because my mind is buzzing at the moment, thinking about loads of different things that are going on in work and this, that, and the other. I'm like, I can't get to sleep. So I'm like, bang, I'm out, And then I feel sometimes like terrible in the morning.
Yeah, 'cause it can be quite groggy.
Like
But-
I've had way too much. And I'm like, God, I only had a tiny
But
spoon.
it's an overdose.
Yeah.
Whatever. Normally, any, but some of them are like an overdose.
Yeah.
Like a massive overdose. And I think the long-term effects are maybe not well understood. It's one of those things where it's not. It's. I think we probably need to understand more. But we are understanding that it's a problem of the body clock, and it is about.
I feel like I'm becoming reliant on it.
Yeah, and it sounds like to me it's acting as a placebo.
Yeah.
And again, I'd rather it be a nutritional supplement where nothing's actually going to potentially cause problems than melatonin where potentially.
I mean, I used to have magnesium, and that was actually really good.
Yeah.
I used to take a bisglycinate or a glycinate one, and I used to sleep really well on that because most people are deficient in magnesium. You should be taking magnesium. Well, you can have it in your diet pretty much every day. And I felt good on that.
To overdose on it.
Didn't really feel rough in the morning.
Yeah. And it is part of the process of making melatonin. It's thought it's part of the process.
Yeah.
The problem with a lot of these nutritional supplements, a lot of stuff around it's very expensive to prove or disprove, and all the research is just so small. So it's placebos can be good. Now, I another one of Human's favourite protocols is mouth taping.
Yeah, no,
I'm not a massive fan.
Right.
Often mouth taping, the idea is taking a little piece of truth, I think, which Huberman often does. He's taking that nasal breathing is good for you, and then turning it into something that is a bit more problematic. Yeah, right. A little bit more problematic in that taping your mouth can help nasal breathing. Again, we haven't got enough research on it. So the main piece of research that people use around mouth taping is a piece of research around sleep apnea, mild or moderate sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is a breathing disorder where you stop breathing during the night. Worst case is you stop breathing every 30 seconds. So you might get 8 hours sleep, but you've actually had such poor quality sleep, you might fall asleep driving to work. A lot of people who snoring is a common symptom of sleep apnea. What mouth taping is being sold as is a solution for snoring as well. So improved quality of sleep, like no research that's true. Anecdotally, there might be, but placebos can be powerful. And it may work for some people. For the sleep apnea, the research was on mild and moderate. So people who aren't, it's not severe. It's having an impact on their sleep, but not overly massive. People went from somewhere around 7 incidences of stopping breathing an hour down to about 5.5.
Right. So it's not like
not a significant. Now, in percentage terms, quite big. So you can use the percentage in your data reporting, but in terms of your life, that would not make much of a difference. And that at the moment is the research. There is now. I was talking to someone who's an expert in the nose who was telling me that she's been doing some research and she's found that A, mouth taping doesn't really improve nasal breathing, and B, actually also affects them how the nose works around mucus. The nose is not my expertise, so I can't say that's true or not. But so there seems to be more research coming through, but often when more research comes through, particularly when it's independent of a company, because a lot of the mouth taping research is being done by the mouth taping brands, it's not showing the magic elixir, golden sort of bullet that it's claimed to be. The bigger problem I have with it is that it masks sleep apnea. So people, rather than going to go to their GP and start looking for treatment of sleep apnea, they'll mouth tape, and that means that won't solve severe sleep apnea. Also, if you're breathing through your mouth, often it's because you've got a nasal blockage. So if you mouth tape, you're restricting your oxygen a little bit more.
I've got a deviated septum, which means like my nose, I can't really breathe out of one nostril.
Yeah.
For me, that would be a terrible idea.
It would be a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And a lot of these research as well, bear in mind, the people have been checked properly. So they've all been checked. And so the one with the sleep apnea one we talked about, they actually had the device in their nostrils to keep them open.
Right.
Now you don't know that unless you get into the research.
Yeah.
And then you're doing it in a safe way then. They've checked people haven't got no nasal issues, and to be doubly sure, they've kept the nasal airway open.
Interesting, because there was a company I saw in the news that went on Dragon's Den with a mouth taping product, and they pulled it from the show.
Well, I was a little bit to do with that, because I was one of the experts quoted in the article.
Right.
And I didn't know I was talking about a brand. I just talked about mouth taping, and I think the word snake oil might have been used. And I did get a nasty email from the mouth taping brand,
right,
making threats. But then the BBC seemed to agree with me, and it got pulled. So I think there's enough concern, and it's one of those things where mouth tape's expensive for what it is. it's microporous tape generally, and some of these brands are
Isn't
charging
it just
a lot
like
of
you
money.
could just use it like a plaster?
You could use
plaster
3M, do you know, like tape you use if you've got medical tape?
Yeah.
It is basically that. Now, interestingly, that brand, they were trying to create a safer version of it. So they could have marketed very differently. They could have marketed on the basis of we're trying to create a safer version, rather than this is, you know, other than definites of this stops snoring, this helps sleep apnea, this helps you sleep
They're
better.
making massive claims as well. That's
where sleep bollocks comes in. Sleep bollocks comes in where you put up so the best example of sleep bollocks can give you is there's an eye mask. A brilliant eye mask, amazing eye mask, blocks light and is comfortable. That's what you want an eye mask to do. In their marketing, they make claims around chronic insomnia. In the past, they've made claims around chronic insomnia. They've made claims around Botox. You'll never need to use Botox again because there was some research of 20 people in an ICU unit in a hospital where they gave them a eye mask and they had better REM sleep. So they've took that one piece of research about 15 years ago and extrapolated it to say you're because during REM sleep you produce collagen, and therefore if you wear their eye mask, we've got a very long-winded connection to the eye mask and the health benefit the research showed. You won't need Botox again, and it's that I don't like.
There's some expensive ones. I was reading. There's a big sleep article in Vogue Business about 2 days ago, and they were going through like how big the sleep product market is. Again, wearable technology, sleep masks, and this mask was 120 quid.
I was like, some very expensive product.
Like how? I mean, I was going to gift my customers, like we give like free gifts away with like our subscription, you know, just a nice little silky mask or whatever. Like I was thinking, it's blocking out light. That's basically what I want it to do.
People, you will not get £120 eye mask.
Yeah, so what
as
the
a gift.
hell?
That's what we're saying.
No, you're not getting that. But I mean, what the hell is it doing for 120 quid apart from blocking out light, closing your eyes and sitting comfortably on your face?
That's it. It needs to be comfortable. It needs to block light out. Now that's boring, isn't it, from a marketing point of view? It's really boring. I actually did challenge the brand on Insta, and that's what they came back with. Well, how are we supposed to create noise around our brand? Well, not over because don't over-egg the pudding. Don't over-egg the pudding. Just
back something that's actually really good and that you believe in.
Just this is quite good at the job it does.
Yeah, just stop putting shit in a bag and selling it. Okay. So I hear Matthew Walker talking a lot about sleep debt.
Yes.
So, you know, and this is the kind of theory that, let's say one night I have 5 hours sleep, the next night I have 5 hours sleep, the next night I have 5 hours sleep. So there I've had 15 hours sleep when actually I probably should have had a lot more than that. But now, so I need to have like another maybe like 6 to 9 hours to then rack up and get rid of that sleep debt. Yeah. Is that correct?
So sleep debt is sort of as a if you sleep at the weekend, you make up for the sleep you didn't get in the week. As a theory has been debunked, I would say somewhat. How the body reacts to poor sleep is it tries to meet your sleep need better. So it will try and give you better quality. Often, like I've read some stuff around it, and often trying to give it quicker. So he's trying to so for new parents. Your body knows that there's something in your life that's now affecting sleep. It tries to get that quality sleep into you quicker. You really need to go back to meet your sleep need, and then your health will bounce back. So you have 3 nights of 5 hours. Next night you might not have 15, but if you normally have 7.5. If you've got 7.5 hours the next night, probably the quality is going to be better in that 7.5 hours.
Right. Okay.
And actually, the best thing for good night's sleep tonight is a bad night's sleep last night. If we can turn our brain off, because we talked about that sleep is something you need to live. One of those 4 things you need to live. Well, when you create the right conditions for sleep, your body will give you sleep. So this is where when poor sleepers will often wake up at 2 a.m, lay there for 4 hours, tossing and turning, and then just before their alarm's about to go off, they fall asleep. Because at that point they relax and the body goes, great, all the physiological conditions are in place for sleep, and that 20 minutes is the worst sleep you've ever had, and you feel like death warmed up now. That's how your body works. So you will. I meet people with very erratic sleep patterns, napping at funny times, because they're just meeting the need for sleep. The body needs a certain set of conditions, and it might happen in the middle of a meeting. It might happen on the train. It might happen when your partner's talking about their day at work, when you're sitting on the telly, and you fall asleep. And so I think I try and ignore that debt. If I'm working with people, we ignore that debt, and we try and accept
quality.
that if we've had a bad night's sleep, we were poor sleeper. That sometimes happens, but that can actually help us sleep better tomorrow. And but it only can if you switch your brain off. When I was really suffering from chronic insomnia, it'd be 2-3 hours for like, say, 10, 12 nights. And then I'd have a crash of 16 hours.
Right.
And then I'd probably be all right for a bit. And then a stressful thing happens and it start again. That wasn't healthy. What your body wants is consistency. If you were getting 6.5 hours sleep every night, that is better than having 5 in the week and 10 at the weekend.
Talk to me about the relationship between alcohol and sleeping. I mentioned to you before that I don't really drink much, but maybe like 1 glass of wine every 5 weeks or something like that, but very rarely. But I used to drink heavily in my like 20s, 30s, and I would like completely go into like a coma, basically, completely black out. But that's not really sleep, is it?
No.
It's your body just shutting down, like stop drinking.
Alcohol works in the same part of the brain, releases anesthesia, and actually sleeping pills are the same. Sleeping pills and alcohol work on the same part of the brain. It knocks you out. It's a sedative, not a sleep inducer.
Right.
Now, as a drug, it then also stimulates. So 4 hours in roughly, it'll sedate. 7 hours, it'll stimulate. So if you have a skinful and you wake up, like you've gone out, you got in at 1, you wake up at 6 and you're like, I feel horrible.
Yeah.
That's alcohol because it's stimulating you. And I think most of the symptoms of a hangover are sleep deprivation.
And also like dehydration and sleep deprivation.
Crave naps. You are eating poor quality food. If we don't sleep well, we're more likely to crave junk food. We're more likely to. It takes us longer to feel full. We feel hungrier quicker, and often emotionally, you can't handle whatever mistake you made last night on alcohol. So it's an interesting relationship. Now you do get people who see it as a crutch
to help them get to sleep.
I work a lot with shift workers, and I think often a bottle of wine is a go-to crutch.
A pint after work.
For people who are struggling to sleep. And it's just what you find is it's a compound effect. You have that alcohol on those nights you're trying to get to sleep. You'll feel like you've had maybe 12 hours, 10 hours, 8 hours, whatever your need is. But then the next day at work, you're lethargic again, and it's just that continuous effect. So it's not great sleep. Now, I'm not anybody's mum. If people choose to drink, then they can choose to drink. But then you have to understand the impact it has on your sleep. That is. And generally 1 or 2 glasses of wine, not going to cause much of a problem.
Right.
1 or 2 bottles of beer, not cause a problem. However, when we start to live with the menopause, that can change. And I've worked with women where they could have a couple of glasses of wine and it not really affect the sleep. 1 small glass of wine and they're still awake at 2 in the morning. So it's one of the many detrimental side effects.
Yeah, your recovery is a lot worse when you have alcohol. I'd noticed that on my wearable technology. Okay, so I see lots of health experts, the ice bath bros, the Hubermans, the Dr. Matthew Walkers, recommending like supplements and products that help them sleep. Or again, magnesium threonate was one of them. And then there's some others like Dr. Matthew Walker like shattered my illusion of valerian root. And he said that it doesn't really help. I was like, what? It's in every single sleep product I've ever seen. It's got to have some study behind it. Otherwise, no one would use it.
So I think there's a study. I think there may be more than one.
Yeah.
I think from the way I understand the research, it can help in the first instance, but your body can build up a bit.
That's what Nitol is based on. That's the main ingredient in Nitol.
So I think you can build a bit of a
tolerance to it.
I think that is it. But
he's back in tart cherry.
Well, so tart cherry it's a naturally occurring source of melatonin. Right. So what else is a naturally occurring source of melatonin? Daylight.
Right.
And more powerful. So in sport, like every athlete I've ever worked with has tart cherry. You ask them, it does not taste very nice.
Right.
But there's some interesting things in sport. What we find is, so in sport, often the tart cherry is delivered through a gel.
Right.
Squeezing your mouth. Now, psychologically, that's about stimulation because it's what you have your supplements before you play.
Especially if you put it in with a load of artificial flavours and like
there will be a lot of
sweeteners.
artificial flavours in there. And I actually believe that actually psychologically you believe it's actually going to stimulate rather than calm you down. I've never, if someone's got chronic insomnia, necking tart cherry juice is not going to solve your problem. No.
I'm just trying to think. What about 5-HTP?
Again, there's research that shows that it can be helpful, but you meet people who've tried it and it works. You meet people who tried it doesn't. There's some side effects with that. Probably you want to read the instructions first. But this is it with, I think, nutritional supplementation. It is over the counter. It is designed, if it's done well, to create that relaxation, to put the body in the right state to be relaxed. It's not a magic bullet. And I think too much of the advertising around nutritional supplementation is too much magic bullet.
Yeah. What about lavender pillow sprays?
So smell's very powerful. Smell can be very powerful, sense when it comes to emotional connection. So every athlete I've ever worked with has probably done this, but getting them to admit to it is very difficult. I get them when they're playing away from home, sitting in a hotel, take a smell that makes you feel safe. So it could be partner's aftershave or perfume. Could be, if they're a bit younger, it could be like taking your pillowcase from home with the smell of the washing powder you use at home.
Yeah.
So smell can be quite powerful. So I actually quite like pillow sprays as a behavioural cue, because we can take them with us if we're travelling, and you've got what it smells like at home. Lavender, again, has got some research that shows that it can be helpful.
Relaxant.
But if you've got chronic insomnia, in the same way, probably like with meditation, that can be really helpful as part of a pre-sleep ritual. But is it going to be a thing that cures your sleep issue? No, because actually you can't cure your sleep issue. Yeah. You can learn to live with it. It's building blocks.
Right.
These things might help. They might be useful to you. What I like to do with people is let's start with the stuff that's most affordable and work our way up. Let's go out and spend $5,000 on a mattress topper that keeps us cool.
Yeah. Just to wrap up, I suppose now. So what are the other? You said you've got the sleep bollocks. What other stuff would you put in the category of sleep bollocks that we should definitely not be?
So I think the top 5 this year was. So some of it is around marketing. So what top was mouth taping, which is if anyone follows me on social media will know that I'm not a fan. I think we had. Brands using people in white coats to sell a product where doctors wouldn't use it. So, you got a stethoscope, you got a blonde lady in a white coat with a stethoscope. It's a stock image, and loads of sleep products use that going, this is medical. Often accompanied by the word neuroscience. I was reading an article about how if you include the word neuroscience in a health product, you're 60% more likely to buy it.
Okay.
Things like just people claiming to be experts who aren't, mattress industry CEOs, other well-being experts. For example, if you're a nutritionist going, this is the one thing that can help. What I do at Kitmate is we break down these silos. We're all different, and we all need to start at the start of what our problem is. And I think that's the bigger problem. I think wearables could come under sleep bollocks. When I go into organisations at the moment, the things that are causing the problems in terms of stuff that is actually not really a sleep issue, but is creating a lifestyle that doesn't work. It is wearables, it is mouth taping, it is Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep, and it is the 5 a.m. Club.
Right.
They're the things that is creating behaviours in people. It's either creating a fear. So, for example, like Matthew Walker says in his book, if you have less than 7 hours sleep for one night, you're going to die. If that was true, parents would live shorter lives than non-parents, and we don't really see that in any evidence. It's the psychological impact. It comes back to that. Helps people be obsessed. Helps people be.
It's creating a pain point out of something that really was probably irrelevant. And in the 80s, it was all like, oh my God, how much can we do? Sleep was
when
not.
I'm dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, on that, I would say just try not to be like Donald, because Donald Trump believes that 4.5 hours sleep makes him a winner.
Yeah.
And if you do, your skin will go a funny orange tinge.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a bit like in the middle. I'll get as much as I can without like stressing as much. But I do feel like the more I look at my sleep, the more I'm stressing about it.
Yeah, that's it. I want people to not be obsessed with sleep. You would think, well, as a sleep expert, you want people to be thinking about it all the time. I'm not obsessed with sleep. It's my job. I do the research. I do the reading. I deliver the messages. I create the content. I go into places. But I'm not obsessed, because if you're obsessed with sleep, you're not going to sleep. If you're prioritizing sleep above everything else, you're not going to sleep. It's a balance. Wellbeing's a balance, and sleep is part of that balance. Sometimes we need to be better at balancing it, but we should not be obsessing too much. And I think the way you know if you've met your sleep need would be to answer 3 questions. How quickly did I fall asleep last night? If it's less than 5 minutes, like that, that's not good. That's sleep deprivation. You've not met your sleep need in the nights previous. If it's more than 30 minutes, you've probably got a bit of like poor sleep insomnia. Between 5 and 30 minutes, you're not sleep deprived. How many times do you remember waking up in the night? None at all. Brilliant. Best sleep. 1 or 2, that's fine. 3 or more, quality's probably struggling. You need to do something. And then how do you feel at 10, 11 in the morning? Because at 10, 11 in the morning, you should be almost alert. Right. And if you are all right on them 3 things, ditch the wearable, ditch thinking about it too much. Just ask yourself those 3 questions about 10, 11 in the morning, and don't worry too much about it. When you take the stress out of sleep, you start to sleep better.
I think I might like just totally get rid of my Fitbit. You know, I like.
You can always just leave it
like,
downstairs.
I just get a watch that tells time. That's actually all I want it to do. That's literally it.
That might be a better idea.
Yeah, just get a nice watch. Maybe a little fancy one. But yeah, I just feel like sometimes all this tech, and then my partner was going on about putting tech in the house, like turn on the lights and stuff. And I was just like, no, I'm sick of gadgets. I actually want a stupid house and a stupid phone and a stupid watch.
It'll be interesting. I think there'll be I think there might be a trend. You know, I do a lot of work in sleep on the product side. I do a lot of work in well-being on that side. I think that there is a backlash against that bro culture and that overly too many protocols, too much tech,
too much analysis,
too much. We don't want world class basics. We want world class understanding, and that's what I try and give people when it comes to sleep.
Brilliant, James. You've been absolutely brilliant to chat to today. So, if people want to get hold of you, follow you for more content, how can they get in touch?
I am The Sleep Geek. So on social media, you can follow The Sleep Geek on your favourite social media channel. The company's Kitmate. You can go to kitmate.com. And if you've got a question about your sleep, drop us a line. On kitmate.com, you can sign up for our app, Sort Your Kip, which offers education on the most common sleep issues. Can't get sleep, waking in the night, menopause, shift work, temperature, those sorts of things.
Perfect. Brilliant. Thank you so much, James.
Sleep well.
Yeah, thank you.